Hey guys, I know things are getting increasingly tougher. I already have friends who lost their job or getting pay cuts in between jobs or just doing whatever they can to kind of stay afloat. And I'm sure people are experiencing sleepless nights, worries, weddings are getting delayed, graduation is getting delayed, jobs are hiring later. So all sorts of things are happening on the ground, and we don't usually talk about this on the news because it's honestly pretty tough to cover the day-to-day person's life, right? But we all are facing a lot of issues and facing a lot of troubles. And I personally have been through very tough times before also. I'm definitely in a much better position now, but I've been through very tough times, and I understand the difficulty to operate in this kind of stress and worry environment. So I decided that, today we're going to dedicate some time to talk about how do we then manage this tough time. So today's topic will be the 3 basics to keep calm amidst a financial turmoil. So good morning everyone, I welcome you to another day with the Financial Coconut. In our podcast, we'll be debunking financial myths, discovering best financial practices, and discussing financial strategies that fits our unique life. You get it. Ultimately empowering us to create a life we love while managing our finances well. So today's topic, the 3 basics to keep calm amidst a financial turmoil. So I know it's tough times, things are challenging, many things are happening, a lot of your plans are being disrupted. So it's definitely crazy out there. And I also know that a lot of you guys listen to the podcast and you like it, that it's like very lighthearted, but at the same time, educational, right? Not just like laugh, carry on, like life, carry on like that, right? So it's cool, but while doing this episode, I'm trying very hard not to be too emotional because a lot of my memories and past experiences are coming back as I'm talking about all these different things of managing your emotions and keeping calm and all these different stuff. So I know it's tough. I know it's challenging. I've been through tough times. Yeah, and maybe when we meet face to face, like during our meet and greet after this whole COVID thing, I can share with you guys more, but at this point in time, I think we should kind of focus on you guys first, right? Because you tuned in to learn more about how to keep calm and not just listen to me sob story. Okay, next time I'll share with you more. But yeah, I think at this point in time, a lot of people are facing a lot of stress, and there are reports coming in from like France talking about how domestic violence has went up, and I'm sure you can find a lot of other like mental kind of wellness reports that are coming in to talk about how terrible the situation is, because honestly it's not easy to be kept in isolation, and just kind of be stuck at home every day. So it's very tough, and we don't do enough of these kind of studies in Singapore. I personally feel we can definitely do more local kind of studies to understand the nuances of the local demographic. So that one we can do over time, but at this point in time, I think definitely many people are struggling. But before we carry on, I just want to put it out there that if you are facing like panic attacks, that means you're feeling like breathless, or you're having like total sleeplessness, like back to back, your days are like not working at all, like you sleep an hour and then you wake up 2 hours and you fall asleep another hour, then your whole day is like getting screwed. You're facing what we call insomnia, right? Or you are just like breaking down emotionally. Listening to this podcast is not going to solve your stuff, because these are like already at the level of a disorder, which is not a discriminative thing. It's just recognizing that, okay, you're already at the level of a disorder. You need professional help. So if you need professional help, I will direct you to samhealth.org.sg, which is Singapore's Association of Mental Health, which is amazing. You should go there and just kind of check things out for yourself. We are definitely getting much better at this whole mental health thing. I'm directing you guys to them because they are non-profit, they are organization. Of course, if you can afford, you can definitely go for like, with the therapist, the psychiatric people that are like higher order, higher level. But, why not just start with the kind of public services that we have out there? So yeah, go to samhealth.org.sg if you need, if you're at that level, okay? So I think that is for you to know. And if you are seeing your friends experiencing things like that, like panic disorder, they totally break down, cannot sleep, all these different stuff, or cannot eat at all, all these are signs of like very, very serious depressive anxiety kind of disorder level already, right? And for all that, please direct them to professional help. But today we're going to talk about if, let's say, you are at the stage of a worry or anxiety. So when I look at it, I know it's very broad definition. When I look at it, right, worry, it means you think about it, it bothers you, but then after a while, you just kind of carry on. So there's this kind of episodes of worry and you think about it, right? Anxiety is when you have physical manifestation. That means your worry is affecting your sleep, or your worry is affecting how you spend money, right? When you take money out of your wallet, you're actually shivering, or or your mind is going crazy when you're spending, right? Because that's what I experience every time I take $1 out of my wallet. It's as if I'm like cutting some meat out of my life, like that, right? At least that was when I had very serious anxiety. And then the disorder level is when all these kind of physical manifestation just overruns you, right? That means all this kind of sleeplessness and all this kind of physical anxiety that you're feeling just impedes your functionality. That means you cannot function. Then that is like a level of a disorder. Of course, I'm not like a professional psychiatric or like a therapist, but I'm that's just how I see it, and I think this is a good benchmark to look at things. So if you're at the level of worry, that means you think about things, it bothers you, and then your anxiety, that means you feel some physical manifestation, a bit of sleeplessness, a bit of cannot eat, a bit of pain when you're spending money. Then yes, I think we definitely can do some stuff. At this point in time, you don't exactly need a professional help. You don't need to spend that money. We can talk a little bit about it. Okay, so. In Singapore, I think we are already classified as one of the most stressed people out there. So Singaporeans very cute one. Got work also stressed, no work also stressed lah. But either way, in 2019, Cigna 360 Wellbeing Survey has already classified Singaporeans. 92% of working Singaporeans actually feel stressed at work. Right, it's way higher than the global average of 84%. Now, of course, I also don't know why the average is 84% globally. That one quite serious also, right? But we are even more serious. So that means out of 10 people, 9 people think they are very stressed, because of work, because of money, a lot of different things. So if you want to understand more about the Wellbeing Survey, definitely check it out. 2019 Cigna, Cigna 360 Wellbeing Survey. Just go and Google, you will be able to find all this information. So yeah, like I said, Singaporeans very cute one, right? We got work also stress, no work also stress, but all these stress are like different kind of stresses, right? And some are just like tension, stress at that point in time, and it just carries on. Some are actually quite perpetual, and it can lead to like more of anxiety attacks. And when I look at this current situation, right, where this COVID-19 is happening, right, it is a huge mess, because you cannot go out, you cannot meet your loved ones, because you can only stay at the address that you're kind of dedicated to. Of course, if you're under the table, that is your tai chi, but by right, legally, you're not supposed to go out in terms of staying at someone else's place. And then you gotta suddenly shift your whole life to work from home. Most people are not used to working from home. So I think there are a lot of reports showing that people are burning out working from home. Interesting, right? Because you don't know how to manage your time. There's no physical separation. It's not like you after work, you can just go home or go and meet your friend, chit chat, and then go home. So there's a lot of issues, a lot of lifestyle changes, and people are getting pay cuts, and then the financial markets are going crazy. So some people that are preparing to retire are also getting a little afraid. So, oh my God, my financial funds are getting deducted like 30% in that one day drop, right? So things are getting really crazy. And there is a whole big mess, a convolution of all these things that come together. So people are getting very anxious, right? And why am I saying all this right from the get-go before we dive into the pointers is because I need you to understand that this is a very complicated topic. You're not gonna just settle everything of your anxiousness and your anxiety just by listening to the podcast, right? And there are a lot of intricate nuances in this particular topic. So I'm mostly sharing with you based on my perspectives, the things that I've learned over time, and the books that I've read, right? So I did spend a good time the year before and the year before working with a lot of therapists and psychologists because we were part of a startup. But that is a story for another day. The reality is I understood a little bit better of how do we then work with ourselves, right? And I'm going to share with you some stuff to try to give you a basic to manage this situation. Okay, so without further ado, the first point that I want you to recognize is that you got to recognize the things we can control versus what we cannot control. Okay, this is a reality. It may sound very lame to you. Offhand sounds very lame. Like every Tom, Dick, Harry also say this thing. But the truth is there are things that we cannot control and there are things we can control. The challenge is when you're in that heightened sense, right? When everything is just so messy and so crazy, this whole turmoil is happening. Your cognitive ability, your logic, right, just goes out the door. It's just stress, worry, everything also worry. But actually think about it, just walk out lah. Right? Sometimes it's like that, right? But because you're in that emotional turmoil, you're in that, because of this whole mess, you find it very hard to stay calm. So then all these things are coming in and affecting you, and it's just going nuts, right? So what I want you to do, of course, great to do some exercise, great to do meditation, great to recognize that you're feeling emotional and everything. That is cool. But one thing you definitely need to do is to recognize what you cannot control and what you can control. Let me give you some examples. So I know many people are concerned on whether they will keep their jobs, right? Or whether they can keep their income. So what we cannot control is that we cannot control will our boss keep us. Right? That's something we cannot control. There are many other factors beyond us. But we can control what we are doing now to entice our boss to keep us. Right, so honestly, right, your boss is also human. Sometimes I'm not sure why. Is it like an Asian thing or just a Singaporean thing? We and our boss, right, like different world, like we're very separated one. And then if some of your colleagues try to be closer with your boss, right, then it's wow, this guy go and power boss again. Right? The truth is, right, your boss is also human. They also lost, they also stressed, they're also struggling. Right? So all humans want some love, all humans want some affection, want some connection, want some assurance. It's not about going up there and buy gifts for your boss and everything, but just assure him that you will be able to ride with the company. You're willing to, do what it takes to keep the company afloat and ride through this wave together. I think just that line alone is going to give the boss a lot more assurance to keep you if, let's say, they really need to cut. Right? So you cannot control whether your boss will keep you, right? Because of a lot of other factors, but you can control what you're doing now to entice your boss to keep you. Right, so you recognize it, the difference of things that you cannot control and the things you can control. Right, let me give you another example. So we cannot control how much savings we have now, right? But we can control how we spend that savings from now. Right, so when you start to see this kind of clarity, the situation becomes a lot clearer, right? Because whatever that you do with your savings, that was before, right? Before this whole turmoil, you have gathered all this amount. This is your savings. It cannot change already. This is what has happened. But from this point onwards, what's your next step? How are you going to spend this savings? This is what you can control. So work on what you can control and recognize that there are things you cannot control. So I'm sure we can have like tons and tons of examples, right? It will never end. But I've briefly kind of boiled it down to two matrices, okay, which is based on this idea of what you cannot control and what you can control. These are the two lines. The first is you cannot control the situation, right? This is whatever that has happened, whatever that is dealt with, this has already happened and this is the current situation. You cannot control it. It's beyond you. But you can control your reaction to that situation. Much like in the boss example. You cannot control whether your boss will hire you or fire you, but you can control how you entice your boss or how you work with your boss, to kind of entice him to keep you essentially. Right? So that is one thing, right? Situation versus reaction. You cannot control the situation. You can control how you react. That's important. And the next sub point is you cannot control the past. That's already happened. But you can control the present. You can control what you're doing now. Right? So don't keep looking at the past. It's like, if last time I see me, don't go movie, don't go cruise, don't what. All those has already passed. Okay, what's important is we recognize where we are now and how then we can move forward. Right? So this is point number one. I know it's a little complex compared to what we usually talk about. I hope this really helps you. So point number one is to recognize that there are things we can control and things we cannot control. And within that, the two sub-points that I usually look at is we cannot control the situation, we can control how we react to the situation. And we cannot control the past, but we can control the present. How do we then move forward from here? Okay, so that is point number one as to how you can keep calm in a financial turmoil. So best, right, you take out a piece of paper and write down what I can control, what I cannot control, and then you write it down. You accept all the things that you cannot control, okay? And then work on the things that you can control. What can you do now? Right? This is very important. And point number two, the second basic to keep calm amidst a financial turmoil is that you need to give your finances a context of time. What do I mean? Okay, some people, we have 5,000 savings, 10,000 savings, and maybe our income got cut in half. So when during a financial turmoil, a lot of things are happening, right? All the numbers are changing, and day to day, all sorts of things are happening. So a lot of times when we look at numbers, right, actually it is very abstract one in our head. 10,000 is 10,000 now, 5,000 is 5,000 now. We always benchmark to other people, right? It's like when people ask you how much do you think you should be paid, then you will ask him, what is the average? Right, we always benchmark to other people, benchmark to other people's price, right? We as human, we tend to benchmark, and I think that is very normal. But in a context like this, right, when there is a financial turmoil, you really need to contextualize your finances in the medium of time. So I want you to, kind of sit down and calculate how much income are you still going to have. If let's say you're going to drop, you're going to lose your income, how much income are you still going to have, right? Let's say, like, I know some friends who are in the tourism sector, and the government give 75%, right? The boss immediately cut to only give 75%. So I understand boss also tough, but reality is you cannot control that, right? You can only look at your own paycheck. Okay, 75%, what can I do? Right, so that will definitely, are we going to eat into savings, right? And if we're going to eat into savings, then how much time do we have, right? How many months do we have for our savings to last us through? And if let's say this is going to last, that means if this income cut is going to last 6 months, it's going to last 1 year, how much time do we have to kind of ride this through? And this is very important, because when you contextualize it, then you actually know what you can do. Okay, you know that your savings only last you 6 months. So now you lost your job already. You made your income, you lost your job, right? So where do you then get your income to kind of meet your expenses? Or are there any ways to cut your expenses? Everything is with reference to the amount of time you have, amount of savings you have to tide you through this tough time, right? So if you've not heard the earlier episodes about what I talk about savings, I think you definitely should go and check it out. I think it was episode 2, or was it episode 4? Yeah, about how I see savings with 2 roles, right? Which is, one of the roles is to kind of cushion this downturn. So during your financial turmoil, your savings come in. So definitely ask yourself, how many months do I have with this savings, of assuming my income is being affected, assuming I can cut back on my expenses in this way. How much time do I have, right? This is very important, because you give yourself some sort of contextual understanding, because I personally feel it's much easier to understand it this way, right? It's like, you tell me, I got 10,000 savings. I was like, so? But you tell me, okay, my savings, right, I have 10,000 and it can last me for a year. Okay, wow, now we see the timeline, right? Okay, so we have this 1 year to sort out whatever we can sort out. Can we take this time to search for a new job? Can we take this time to, get some interim work? Or can we take this time to negotiate with the bills, negotiate with the housing board to kind of have payment delay, all these kind of things, right? So we have a time frame. It's much easier to understand the situation, right? And that's when your savings beautifully come in to kind of cushion your downturn. Okay, and if you really struggle, you don't have savings before, that is whatever has happened in the past, you definitely need to still see how much time you have and go and try to find whatever help there is, which Singapore government really threw a lot of help. And I will not talk about it here today. If you really need, I can kind of collate an episode another time. If I go to like website like NTUC or like MOM, I think they have a lot of information there, or whatever kind of support system that they have for all of us. Okay, so that is point number 2. And point number 3, I want you to form a small support group. Okay, very specific, small, that means about 3 to 4 people. And I will tell you why all these numbers. Okay, so I don't want you to do like a 2 people thing, because 2 in a number in itself is very weak, right? You are highly hinging on your partner, right? It's like, have you kind of jio your friend go to the gym, 2 of us, right? Every time someone don't feel like it, the other person will, just kind of dwindle off, right? Or unless they are super focused, super dedicated, then it will kind of be like one person dragging on to the other person. This person that's dragging and taking the lead will also tire out. It's very tiring. But when you do it in a trio, right, it tends to be much easier. I mean, the triangle is the strongest shape, and the trio has that balance, right? So it's very important on an emotional level, because what I'm understanding is, during a financial turmoil, many people are very worried. So if we want to keep calm, right, we form this group. This group must be strong, cannot be like 2 of us, then like ayo, chui like that. So I think 3 to 4 is a good number. I personally prefer like a 3-person small support group. And I also want you to realize, right, this is not like a problem cesspool, It's not like you all gather, right, then after work buy drink and then chit chat, talk about your boss, that kind of like problem cesspool, right? It's not that the goal of this support group, this small support group that you're gonna form, is not to kind of complain about problems, or it is also not like a lending club. Hey, can lend me $500 now? Hey, then can lend me $200? Hey, I pass you $300 next week. No. It's none of those things, right? If you really trust your friend that really need help, and you really think you can lend them money, okay, then so be it lah. Okay, but I will definitely do another episode to talk about why I don't lend people money, at least not like sparingly and just randomly. Okay, I have very important factors when I decide if I want to lend someone money. Okay, I will talk about that another time. But when you form this group, I really hope it's not like an emotional cesspool or problem cesspool. Neither is it like a lending club. How I envision this small 3 to 4 people support group, right? It is a safe space for you to talk about your insecurities and your problems, right? Especially during these tough times, a lot of things are happening. You want to keep calm, you need a support group. And then within this support group, people need to be able to talk about their insecurities. I'm very worried that I cannot pay for my son's milk powder. I'm very worried that, I will lose my renovation deposit. I'm very worried because if I lose my renovation deposit, then I will not be able to take out another 10,000-20,000 until 2 years later. Then my BTO hit. Those kind of stuff. Some things are one thing lead to another. These are tough and complicated, and that's probably why you're so worried. So you want to be able to have 2 or 3 people come together, that like you plus 2 or 3, I mean 3 or 4, to have that kind of support group to talk about the insecurities, right? And it needs to be your insecurities. If not, you just talk about very shallow problem, right? Nothing will get solved, right? You must be willing to go deeper to talk about your worries and talk about the complexity of your problems, okay? And then, right, this support group need to be solution focused. Right? That's why it's not a problem cesspool. Not come in, cheers, and talk about gossip about your boss. It needs to be everybody come in, 3 of us, we're very good friends since young, and we now all have family or whatever, or we are all single, and depending on where you are, it doesn't matter. Try to find people that are similar because they're all sharing a similar situation. It is a lot easier to kind of create solution together. And then all 3 of you will focus on the solution. Okay, so if this is the case, then are we able to search, see HDB got some loan deferment, or which they have? Or search, see is there like a legal binding for delayment of contract, or is whether the Ministry of Law has something, And these days, a lot of the ministries have a lot of social touch points. It's much easier to get to them than last time. And if any case meet the MP session, it works. Okay, I know now they're not meeting anyone, but you can reach out to your member of parliament. That is their role. We gotta bug them, right? Don't just vote them in because you don't know them, but 5 of them together, then you vote them in, and they don't do anything, or you don't know whether they do anything. So definitely go to them and talk to them if you need help. Be solution focused. Okay, the internet has a lot of solutions, but sometimes we just need a group of people to do this together. So I'm gonna sum it up today. I know things are a little bit complicated today. I hope you have followed through and find it beneficial. So the first basic to keep calm amidst a financial turmoil is to recognize the things we can control and the things we cannot control. Take a piece of paper and write all these things down, however much you can. Do the best of your ability. We can always grow over time. And then work on the things you can control, right? Don't just keep pondering on things you cannot control. Those are external to you. You think, also no use. Focus on the things you can control. And point number 2 is give your finances a context of time. Write down how much time you have, how much your savings can tie you to. Is it 6 months? Is it 1 year? If there are some bills that you need to pay, is there another way to get like a smaller income, or are there kind of support systems around? When you give yourself that context of time, it makes things a lot clearer, a lot easier, less abstract. And the third basic to keep calm during a financial turmoil is to form a small support group of about 3 to 4 people. That is a safe space for you to focus on your insecurities and talk about your problems in an open, safe manner and be solution focused. So I hope you learned something useful today. See ya! Hey! I hope you learned something useful today and truly appreciate that you took time off to better your life with the financial coconut. Knowledge is that much more powerful and interesting when shared, debated, and discussed. I hope you would share what you've gained with people you love, and I want to hear from you. Give me some questions and help me along with building a community of financially savvy coconuts. I hope together we can fulfill our curious minds and our desire for clarity. Join our community Telegram group, reach out to us on Facebook, everything is in the description below. If you enjoy the podcast and you feel you want to help keep us growing and stay independent, do buy us a copy at ko-fi.com. With that, have a great day ahead, stay tuned next week, and always remember, personal finance can be chill, clear, and sustainable for all.